Hello all, welcome. In this tutorial, we are going to learn an interesting topic called Zowe. Many of us are stuck with blue screens in mainframes from several years. For a change, let's see the good old mainframes from Windows perspective. There is already something called IDZ or RDZ using which you may view mainframe stuff, but IDZ is not completely free, whereas Zowe is completely free. Zowe is an open source framework owned and managed by Linux Foundation as a part of Open Mainframe project. The main goal is to give access to non-mainframe platforms to mainframe data, programs and subsystems, etc. I would say Zowe is the first open source project based on ZOS. It was started somewhere around 2020 or 21 and they have come up a long way from there on. So there are basically four parts in Zowe. I mean, there could be some new components added to Zowe in future, but for now our discussion is primarily going to be on these four components only. The first one is Zowe CLI. The second one is Zowe Explorer using Visual Studio Code, and the third one is Zowe SDK, Software Development Kit, and finally the fourth one is Zowe Desktop. So the first one is Zowe CLI, command line interface. That means using this you can query mainframe stuff from your terminal or from your command line or your DOS command line. So I've just opened the DOS prompt here. You see it's just a command terminal on your Windows. Um, so what we're going to do is we're going to first learn how to install Zowe on your Windows system, and then log into mainframes from this, and then execute some Zowe statements to see what we have on mainframes. But before that, I would like to explain what are the prerequisites for using Zowe. From client side, that is on your desktop side, you have to install certain softwares on your desktop or client. Similarly, there should be a listener installed on the server side, which listens to the query that you run or the command that you give from the client side and responds back. We can install the client side software as it is your PC, but what about the listener on the mainframe side? Remember that the mainframes should be enabled to listen to the queries that you send and can respond from its side. Else whatever you do on the client side will not get any response from the server side, or you will not get a proper response from the server side. So please do not post any comments or questions mentioning that you have installed all the softwares that you required or that I have mentioned in the video, still you are not getting the desired results from the CLI. So the mainframe software that you already have on your PC could be a mainframe pen drive, or a turnkey 5, turnkey 4, TK5, TK4, or it could be ADCD based Hercules software, or any other local system installed software should be enabled as a listener on a specific port. But as far as I know, all the local copies of the mainframe softwares, we only have ZOS 1.13, 1.1 or 1.0, or even an older version like OS 390, etc., which does not support IDZ or ZOE on these mainframes. So installing these components on the server is not something that you and me as a developer can do it. So you should check with your ZOS administrator to see if your mainframe is enabled for IBM WebSphere Liberty profile, or if not, you could check with them on how to enable this, and then you can start using this Zowe on your client side. Anyways, now assuming that we have all the required components set up on the server side, let's jump onto the server side, that is Zowe CLI. So in the next screen, I'm going to open a command prompt, also known as terminal. I mean, it's just a DOS command prompt, nothing special in that, and then I'm going to start working with that. So to install Zowe on your Windows system, so you need to first use a npm software node package manager. Using this, you can install the software that you need on your Windows system so that you can interact with mainframes from your command prompt. So what you have to do is you have to use this command. Npm stands for Node Package Manager, hyphen install, and hyphen G stands for it is for global. Global. That means this installation applies for all the users. If you have admin access on your computer, you can use this, or if you want to specifically install the software onto a specific user, you have to use some other parameters like -u or something. But this is for global, and this is for installing Zowe CLI software. The version we're going to use is Zowe VP2 light mode. This is more of a stable mode, so let's not go into the latest versions. It might cause some problems. So once you hit enter, it's going to start installation. I already have this software installed on this PC. So yeah, it usually doesn't take this much time, but somehow it took this time. So once after this is installed, so you may want to verify whether you have Zowe installed on your machine or not, right? So you just simply need to type Zowe command. So it gives you some proper response, right? That means Zowe is properly installed. So sometimes it happens even if you install something, even if you install Zowe on your machine using npm, it still will not take the command Zowe. So what it says is Zowe is not a recognized command. If you remember, this takes you back to your Java learning. Even if you install Java, you try to apply the command Java, Java C, or Java version, it will say unrecognized command. So what do you do in that case? You're going to define a path for that, right? So similarly, just define a path for this npm. Let me show you. So you have to put this as the path of this npm. So don't ask me how do you set the environment variables path, etc. This is something that we've been doing from the time we got into the college, right? Or you can simply Google it, how to set environment variables. You can find it. So simply copy paste this stuff, replace this username with your user using which you logged in, and then you're all set to go. If you still are not able to execute the command Zowe, ping me in the comments. I will try to help you out. So now we have installed Zowe and we are getting a proper response from the Zowe. Okay, so now let's check the next commands. So now that you've installed Zowe, you need to log into mainframe, right? So how do you log into mainframes from here? So there are a lot of Zowe commands using which you can log into mainframes, but you know, but I'll show you the safest way to do that. So first, let me show you the a normal way to do that, and then I'll tell you how to do the safest way. So you see this, you need to create a profile first. When I say profile, so profile is a bucket where all your connection settings are stored, and this profile can be used whenever you want to execute a Zowe command. So it stores host, port number, user ID, password, and few other connection parameters. This will be stored in the profile. So you're going to create a profile by giving all this information like this. So you see this Zowe. To execute any command, you just have to start with Zowe. And then what is the command that you want to use? I mean, this is a group actually. What command you want to use? Like say if you want to use a create Zowe profile, so you have to specify the group of the command that you're going to use. Okay, so I think I should have told you the syntax of Zowe commands. First, everything should start with Zowe, and then second thing is the group, and the third thing is the commands, and then the supporting parameters, attributes, etc. So here this is a group, and create profile name using the host of this. So that means I want to log into this host using the port, and then the user say something A, B, C, D or something, and password is say 12345, whatever it is, something, and then hit enter. So if I do this, anybody who would be watching this video will be easily able to log into this mainframes, because I'm giving them my ID and the password, right? So I'm not going to do that. So let me show you another way to create a profile. And along with this, you need to give few other parameters in this, like hyphen hyphen ru false. That means it is we are saying reject unauthorized logins as false. We are setting that parameter to false, and then this would create a profile for you with this name called pure of 3. Now, assuming that your user ID ABCD exists and the password for ABCD is 12345. Now, so let me create another profile. Uh, say profile something, say B, the same thing. And what am I going to do? I'm going to remove the values of this ID, user ID and password. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it as prompt. That means I want the CLI to prompt me these values, so that whenever we are asking it to prompt, it is going to ask us those values, and when you key in, it is not visible to the user, whoever sees this uh, screen or the video. And let me add another parameter in case if a similar profile exists, I want it to overwrite it. Okay, so doing this, I'm going to give an enter. Okay, I think something is wrong. It didn't like the value overwrite. Okay, so if you see what's the mistake here, you need to give 2 hyphens for every parameter, just like host, port, user, password, ru, and then similarly I missed a hyphen here, so I need to give that. And now hit enter. Now you see it has asked me a password. Okay, why did it ask for password? Why did it not ask for username? Because I have given something here, user. I did not give prompt properly here. I just missed the T here, so it did not ask. Let me hit enter. Now let me give that value properly. Prompt. Remember, it has to be a smaller case. Hit enter. Now it is asking me, please enter user. Let me give my user ID. I'm typing, but you will not be able to see it. Password. Hit enter. Okay, so what did it say? Review the created profile and edit if necessary using the profile command update command. So that means the profile has already been created. Profile created successfully. This is the path. Okay, so now let me check whether my profile is created successfully or not. You have a lot of ways to do that. So you can create the status. You can check the status of a profile by using, Zowe MF. What is the profile name? Prof D, right? So this is so now this is a group, and this is a command, subcommand, and the parameters and the profile name. So now I'm going to give an enter for this command. So let's check what is going to return. So everything is active, 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 active. So that means my profile is created successfully without any issues. That means, it simply means that your profile is created, but it doesn't mean that you have logged in. So it's like we are not logging in. For every command we execute on this, say for example, if you want to get the data set, names starting with say abcdxyz dot 123 dot star, you're going to use this profile. That means for executing this command, you need to use this profile. That means you're logging in dynamically whenever you want to execute a command. So similarly, there are different ways to log in. You can use a token based login, or you can use API ML way of login. So we're going to see all these in the upcoming sessions. But for now, this is one of the way how to execute a command. Okay, so let's check out how to find how to list the data sets that are available on mainframes, starting with so and so ID or something, using my profile. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste the command that I already have. So what this means is Zowe files. Like I said, this is again another group, and in that I have the first command as a list. What do I want you to list? I want you to list the data set. And what is the type of what is the list that I want you to show is in double quotes. I'm going to give the pattern, so into id dot demo dot star star, and using what? Using my profile that is already created, use mf profile, and the profile name is this. So let's hit enter. I missed to hit enter in the previous instance. So it is processing. Now you see this. These are the data sets that are available on mainframes using this particular listing. Okay. Similarly, let me just change these values, parameters, and then L star. So that one. So once you start using profile for a command, it automatically remembers that it has to use the same profile again. And it, if you try to execute a command without the profile, also it's going to work for some time. But I think there's an automatic time. I don't know the time, how long it is going to use the profile, but after some time, it's going to drop off using that, the profile. So now let me remove this profile usage and then just give enter. See, it still work. But if you try to continue to do this after a certain period of time, it's not going to allow you if you don't specify the profile. Okay. So now we've seen how to view the list of files, and now uh, like I said, let me zoom out and tell you something about this Zowe command. So you can basically use this Zowe CLI to you know execute any basic commands that you usually run on mainframes TSO. Say when it comes to CLI, you can these Zoe commands are grouped into different categories. Like I said, there are TSN related commands, and for which Zoe files is the group you have to be using. Similarly, you also have commands to hit the spool. You can query spool and run the commands, run a few commands to get the information from spool. Similarly, you can run TSO commands, and a lot of variety, a lot of groups are available. We're going to see some of those in the upcoming sessions. For now, let's take a look at some of the other uh, the dataset commands. So we've just seen how to view a list of datasets, right? So now uh, let's see how to create a dataset. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Like I said, you have to use Zoe Zoe ZOS files is the group, and then create. You just need to tell create, and what do you want to create? You just want to create a PS file. So just create a PS file dot psc dot test tsn. That's all. So it says dataset created successfully. Now the first question that comes to our mind is, what the heck? I need to give all the attributes when I'm creating in mainframe TSO environment, and without asking me all these things, it simply has created a data set just like that. Who's going to give you the attributes? Yes, Zoe gives these attributes by default if you're not going to specify anything. right? So it is going to create a data set of 80 bytes, fixed block, etc. Unless you want to explicitly specify, it is going to take everything on its own. So let me create now with a different test DSN1. Now let's specify a record format -rf as fixed block. Okay, and then what are we going to specify? Record length, I want it to be as 100 bytes, and then I want to specify the block size as 1000 and hit enter. Okay, data set created successfully. Let's see, let's try to do the same command again and see what it responds, what it responds. Okay, you see this, I'm trying to create a data set with the same name and it is showing an error, dynamic allocation error. So it is smart enough to send the error messages from the MVS back to Zowe CLI to specify that this allocation has failed. Okay, so now I can show you this thing again by going on to mainframes, whether the data set is created successfully or not. For now, I'm going to show you that, because you might be thinking that, okay, it has said the data set created successfully, but where is the data set? Let me jump right into mainframes and show you that. So I'm going to issue the command zowe and us files is what I want to get into, and edit is the command. And what is that I want to edit? Edit the PS file and just give the PS file name here. Just hit enter. Oh, what is that? Use the files. I didn't like the files. Use files. Yeah, yeah. It's time to retrieve the command. See, you see, it has automatically opened a a notepad, and let me type. This is my first line. And I saved it, and I closed it. And now it's asking override the remote with local edits. I would say yes and hit enter. Successfully uploaded the edits to mainframe. So now let's go back to our mainframe and see our data set here. This is it. This is my first line it has appeared. So this is how you can edit a data set. Let me do that again. And retrieve the file. This is my second line. Conjugate, override yes. Let's come to mainframes and see. Okay, this is my second line. So this is how you will be able to update the data set. So like that, you have a lot of Zowe commands using which you can edit the data set. You can rename the data sets. You can delete the data sets. You can recall the data sets. You can migrate the data sets. You can, compare two data sets. Basically, whatever you want to do, whatever you usually do on mainframe TSO, most of the stuff can be achieved using Zowe when it comes to file. But what's fun in doing all these on the CLI? Who is going to do that in the real time? Right? Nobody's going to do that in the real time, isn't it? So that is the reason why you need to learn SDK, or I mean software development kit, or you can also learn VSC with Zowe Explorer, which we're going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. But I want to cover few more commands in the next session on ZOC, how to use the spool commands and how to execute the TSO commands and a lot of other commands that you can run using this CLI, just for you to understand. After that we could go to Zowe Explorer, which is a much better version of a Zowe, not a version, I would say, which is a better way to interact with ZOS using Zowe. That's a GUI way of interacting. This is a CUI, character user interface. That's the graphical user interface using uh, Visual Studio Code. So that will be more fun and interesting. So that's all for now. Let me know how do you like Zoe, and put in your comments if you have any questions on how to install, or if you have any issues with installation, etc. That's all, guys. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.